Well, good morning, Scott Mingus, Neil McLeod, once again, fractional exec. Just trying to keep ourselves in tune with the audience and make sure that we're providing updates as we work through with different clients. And today we're going to spend a little time just kind of going across the industries we've worked in or are working in, just talking about what we're seeing, what are the commonalities across different industries when you think about AI, when you think about using a fractional exec like ourselves. At least I'm finding everybody's convinced that AI is the new path forward. So it's not really selling or convincing anybody to use AI. It's trying to sort through how do we use it, when do we use it, where do we use it, which tool do we use. Is that kind of the process that you go through with clients?
Yeah, we definitely talk about all of the tools that are out there, and I don't even know them all. I don't use them all. There's so many now. I have a broad brushstroke of the ones that most people are familiar with Anthropic and Claude, with OpenAI and ChatGPT. I use Copilot at times, depending on client needs within the Microsoft suite, and then Gemini within the Google suite. So those are the most common LLMs that people leverage. But you and I have found different tools like Base 44 and Lovable to build prototypes, built our own website using Base 44. So it depends on the use case and the need. And then there's these boutique shops that will actually do custom application development around the artificial intelligence that is now available. So with document workflows or with voice and conversational AI, you can actually build agents to deploy within organizations. And if you have the technical chops, you can actually build custom purpose-built solution for organizations. And we've done that ourselves to a limited degree, but we've also partnered with others to do that have that expertise, because there's new things coming out. It's seemingly every week.
Yeah, there's no doubt about that, and in fact, I just signed a client, and he talked to me about going out for an RFP for a CRM system and how astronomically expensive it was, and this is a small association, and I said, well, hold on, let's back up a minute and let me show you what can be done in Base 44. So I sat down, we had a brief conversation, and I came back to him a few days later with a CRM system and a wholly updated website using Base 44. And they were just, literally almost speechless at what could be done with these tools quickly and how easily they're maintained from a content standpoint, updating. And when you compare what that cost was to a system that was way more than they needed, and 60 grand plus a month, I think, is what they would have had to license it for, compared to what I can provide them through the use of a vibe coding tool, taking a little bit of time and looking at your workflows and what you're trying to accomplish and building something that's specific to your business and that's easily updated as your business needs change. It just makes a ton of sense for companies to look at that type of functionality.
Yeah, that was interesting. You went ahead and built something like that for us within Fractional Exec's website as well. Yeah, we had some interesting conversations just recently too about how important it is, not just the tools and the technology that you can deploy, but the people that stay involved in that equation. It's often referred to as human in the loop within artificial intelligence, just how critical it is to still have decision-making power held within the people that have the subject matter expertise. We always keep that in mind as well whenever we're working with any organization or building solutions for ourselves. So thinking about the workflow itself, you always have to think about where the human fits into the equation. And I just ran into a situation that was really interesting where there's three humans working on a project together, and all three of them are using prompt-based LLMs to respond to one another. And then you start to see through that, and you're thinking like, wait a minute, why is he responding like that? I can tell it's not his voice. I can tell this is, LLM generated content. And then it causes friction, and then you have to get on a phone call and talk through it with everyone in what turned into a 3-person conversation is now a 6-person conversation if you introduce everyone's unique chat interface. So you got to be really careful about how you deploy the technology too, and make sure that you have humans taking a look at the end result before it ever goes out to a broad audience.
That's some of the commonality that I see across industries is you have to communicate so that you have alignment with the team that's doing it. Everybody understands the goals of what you're trying to accomplish. That's the start. If you don't know what you're trying to drive to, trying to build, trying to automate, pick your word of the day, you're not going to get there as a team. So, getting that alignment up front is really important, making people slow down long enough to understand what it is they're trying to accomplish, make sure they have a good understanding of the business aspect of it, then communicate and align, and then begin, deploying tools, AI tools. And you're right, the human in the loop piece, it's one of the articles we put out last week. It's going to scale your business. Now, if you're doing something wrong or if it's confusing, it's also going to scale that. So it's important to understand that the tool is limited by what you tell it to do, and you need to stay in the loop to make sure that you stay aligned with the tool as you move forward.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. Well, you touched on industry. We were going to talk about that a little bit. So, what I've seen in transportation is document and voice and conversation tools deployed to manage a lot of mundane tasks, but keeping human in the loop in that workflow as well to ensure that exceptions are managed, especially in transportation. That's a big part of what happens, is trying to raise to the surface the things that need the most critical response. Healthcare, the same. Healthcare, we've seen where a lot of the inbound or outbound phone calls to manage patients, or even document workflow, getting a referral into an organization and knowing how to assess whether you can support that patient or not. And in the insurance sector, claims and claims management, how do you quickly make decisions on that? So all those things are things we've seen, and we've been able to apply tools to help accelerate the process. But in every case, we talk about how critical it is to put that final ultimate decision making in the hands of your subject matter experts in order for you to continue to provide that high level of service.